Most people in America are looking for how do I make a life worth living and a retirement worth having. When I talk about this in audio cast, I'm of course not a financial planner and I'm not trying to produce any type of sale in you at all. The reality is that in America we have rights, and those rights are literally being eroded from us. When I talk about a lot of things, it's because I've experienced a lot of things in the last 4 to 5 years that I didn't have to deal with when I was literally in my own home, handling my own self, and literally taking care of other people who were aligned with my life. In those moments in time, I had a professional practice that was serving a lot of people in a good amount of time of the week, and then I served other people in the community outside of that. But it only takes one loss to sort of change our life and to change who we are as a person and change who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. There's always someone who sits in the outside who's not been a part of that entire process, who thinks that in 5 minutes of time they have the right to render an opinion that violates our legal rights, that violates our constitutional rights, that violates our federal rights, and literally violates our medical rights. And openly, there's always a liar of the land who thinks they have the right to linger outside of a Starbucks window as if they're doing something important, talking on the side of the street when they should be in their vehicles doing their job. The reality is we live in a community now where people throw trash on the ground. They don't think about other people's rights in terms of having a clean street. We have young people who are somewhat ill in their mind, and they linger about wearing clothing of childhood and not really maturing into adulthood. We also have people who literally provide us unsolicited information, like when I just had breakfast at a lovely cafe a few doors up. I literally had to sit there and suffer through some girl telling me that she had been to a party last night, she was operating off of only a few hours of sleep, and that openly she was not gay, but she dressed like a sort of a tomboy, and sometimes people called her sir, and that wasn't a problem for her. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm here to eat breakfast, not to be your priest and someone for you to provide a confessional to. But in life, we have to be somewhat tolerant sometimes of the fact that people are longing for conversation. But it's not conversation when someone gives an information dump. Now, if I'm doing a consulting job, I expect the person who's paying me to do that consulting to literally listen to what I have to say. If they choose to implement on time, that's their right. If they wait years, like in one case of a woman who I literally said, you need to have these in events so that you're selling one to the many, and it's taken her 6 years to accomplish that, that's on her life, not on mine. In life, we have moments of time to prove who we are in what I like to call the house of the Lord. Now, I say that because I'm a person of faith. I say that because I practice my spirituality daily, and there is nothing unlawful underneath federal law and the First Amendment rights of me practicing my faith any old way I choose. It doesn't matter whether or not my birth family likes how I practice my faith, or whether or not some total stranger likes how I practice my faith. The truth is, I have the right to be that person, to do those things, and I don't have to tolerate someone trying to hoard over me, lord over me, or try and do things to me that is not their lawful right. I've reached out to many organizations that say they help people, and for the most part, they help people one-off, and that's it. Then they want to wash their hands of an individual and move them on. The problem and the challenge in life is that it takes relationships to sustain a business. It takes relationships to sustain an employment opportunity, and it takes lawful opportunities to have clean records that are not being violated by people who think they have the right to render a 5-minute opinion based on something they feel as opposed to actual practical facts, journalistic facts of how a person is living their life, how a person is surviving the attacks on their life, or how a person is rendering their life going forward, because we have choices in America. We have choices to live in the streets or live in homes. We have choices to do a lot of things. But if someone has illegally, immorally, and unlawfully ruined your legal name, it makes it a little bit challenging to get a job or to get an apartment or to do other things without some sort of a grantor. In Japan, as a foreigner, that was something required of all foreigners, that we had to have a financial grantor who would literally vouch for us in life. It's sort of a standard practice over there for anyone who's not natively Japanese. But when we talk about it here in America, the young people of the land think that that gift, that kindness, that support during a downturn in life or a loss is something for them to joke about, something for them to laugh about, and something for them to think that they didn't get help when they were going through college or going through high school or whatever the hell they did, and that they think that their family's not going to help them if they go through some struggle of some sort of bout with an illness or something else. And that's the crazy thing. There's always going to be that monster in a person's soul that thinks they have rights to comment on another human being's life, but they don't. Even with me recording my audio cast in this crazy little restaurant here that has music that's too loud, people that are too busy listening, and openly it's not their right. But I have the right to sit here and record anyway.